entrepreneurs all over the world. I am so pleased to welcome you to today's weekly assembly. We have two guest speakers today that would be taking us to another level once it starts. I would like to welcome on stage the president and founder of African Young Entrepreneurs, the largest entrepreneurship organization in Africa, Dr. Summy Smart Francis.
Great stuff. Good to be here. Good to see lots of people, lots of members, African entrepreneurs all over the world. Glad to see many of you. And of course, I'm as excited as you guys are. I've got two giant, experienced people in the room today. Now these amazing guest speakers that I've got in the room today, it's one reason why I think they kind of gave me early morning this morning, because I just woke up. I'm like, when is the time? Because I was also looking forward to having this conversation with Mark and of course with Ori Spado. But then, before I start introducing this guest, I want to also say a little bit about the topic that these guests are going to be handling. And the topic is simple: sell. Sell. I can shout it, I can scream it, because there's an exclamation mark after the word sell. And it's because your life depends on it. Now, a lot of people might wonder why we're saying that. Why does my life depend on selling? Is it that important? Is it that necessary? Is it that strong? No matter what we are doing in life, we are all salespeople. That's one thing for a fact. Either you're an entrepreneur, that you're trying to convince your investors, you pitch it for funding, you're an employee, you're trying to negotiate with your employer, you're trying to pitch to your employer at the same time. You're a parent, you're trying to convince your child to do something, you're trying to persuade your daughter to do something. You're a boyfriend, you're trying to sweep that girl off the floor, you're selling. Everybody is selling. Whether we like it or not, you are selling. And we would discuss many instruments, that you can use, or many sales strategies, so many things or attributes that you should have as a salesman. And so many gifts of sales, according gifts of sales, things like persuasion, motivation, influence, and of course, attitude. Talking about attitude, I always say that a good sales starts with a positive attitude, and attitude in this case can be an intentional effort of you staying positive, or you just expressing positive habits, and that's how your whole sales starts. Positive habits definitely are things as simple as a smile. Many of us do not take that very seriously. And have you ever thought about why God invented a smile? Have you ever taken your time to understand that? If you know the power of a smile, even in sales, you will use it as often as you can. God has invented smile so that we can be able to use it to access, to start the sales conversation, to start a pitch, to start something in your business, to start a negotiation. Just that smile, you cannot believe how many things that it can open up for you. So I'm going to take the first speaker, and a lot of you have read his profile and looking at it, and I'm very happy that he is in the room today, because we've seen a lot of young people going in a lot of directions that has been in his past, and that's why I'm sure a number of us in this room are wanting to listen to his experience. And the one critical thing is the fact that from his experience, he would even understand why sales is important. Now, this first speaker I'm talking about is a person of Ori Spado. Ori Spado is an author of The Accidental Gangster, and is known as the Hollywood mob boss. Yeah, he's a reformed gangster, and he's now a motivational speaker, and is also speaking on several club rooms, and is giving so much inspiration and wisdom to a lot of young people from his experience. Now, this man has also published, and that book is a must-have for every one of us in this room. Must-have. He's going to be telling us later if there's an online version or e-copy version, but I'm sure there's online platforms where you can get this book from. At the same time, you can always visit the website, which I will share with you later, where you can also understand more about Ori Spado. But ladies and gentlemen, Africa's young entrepreneurs in this room, put your hands together as I welcome our first speaker, Ori Spado.
Thank you for that introduction. Today's topic, selling. I'd like everybody, just for 1 second, look around where you're at, touch something, anything, and somebody sold it. Sales is something that I began at the age of 11 years old as a paper boy in Rome, New York. In my opinion, I never had a job where I was paid a salary. Never. I've always worked on a commission based upon my sales. As a paperboy, I can remember winning different contests. I mean, they weren't big. If I remember one contest I won. Whoever got the most new subscribers for the newspaper got to go to Syracuse, New York. And that's how I first watched the movie The Bible. I won that contest. From there and throughout my life, I've always been in sales. I motivated a lot of people in the sales industry to become independently wealthy. My first major job was with the Prudential Insurance Company, where I became a member of the $1 Million Roundtable. And I was making a lot of money. I was very good, and I enjoyed it. So I like to say to all the youth that we have here, never be afraid. A lot of people are afraid of communicating or talking with another person. Now, obviously at the age of 11, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have computers. We didn't have all this technology that you have today. But even with all this technology, if you're in business, if you're selling something, you better be meeting that person face to face and communicating with that person. Find out what that person's needs are. You never know. You got to stay motivated. I always stay motivated. I always stay positive. And I don't work 8-hour days. I don't believe in 8-hour-a-day work. 8-hour-a-day work is for salaried employees. People that you hire to do trivial things around. That's my train of thinking anyways. In sales on a commission basis, you had the opportunity to make more money than you ever could dream of in your life.
Thank you so much, Ori Spado. We'll come back to you shortly with more questions. So I'm going to just also introduce my second speaker. Now, for this second speaker, you guys, it's not an expert by just the word expert. This man has done this, and there are results from what he has done over the years, and I am so privileged and honored and actually so humbled to also have in our midst today Mark. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Mark. Mark is an entrepreneur, a real estate investor that specializes in large multi-family acquisitions, new development, luxury flips, and so on and so forth. He's a mentor, he's an author, and also he's a public speaker. Now, he is a sales expert, very important. And there's one funny thing about Mark that I love, and I love it so much that I'm sure you're going to love it. Mark is not going to motivate you. Yes, he tells the truth like it is, and he just comes with the truth and just shoots it out. If you go on Mark's page, you would see a lot of content that just from flipping through his page, there's a lot to learn from him. African entrepreneurs, let's put our hands together as we welcome a sales expert and a sounding entrepreneur, Mr. Mark Smith.
Thank you, Summy, and I want to say thank you to Ori. That was fantastic. So great to be on stage here. Something I should share that I'm not sure if anybody in the audience knows, but my parents are actually from Tanzania, so there is a little bit of an African connection there. So there we go. Okay, so sales is the art of communication. Some of you said it so great at the beginning, and I've said this to so many people. The best salespeople are the ones that tell everybody they're not a salesperson. Why? Because they've sold themselves. They're not a salesperson. Sales is happening. It's happening on every transaction in our life. It doesn't have to be from a business perspective. It could be on a personal perspective. It could be, if you're going for dinner with your spouse or your girlfriend, boyfriend, or whoever it is, and you're now negotiating where to go eat. There's a transaction happening there. So that's the reality behind sales. And I love the topic, sell, your life depends on it. Absolutely. Sell, your life depends on it. I've always told people is that revenue cures all problems. Revenue cures all problems. And to give you some background about myself, I started in sales really, really early on. So And I think that's great. I think what Ori was saying, having a paper route and so forth. And I started really early as well. And my thing, I didn't realize I was doing sales until I think it was a couple of days ago. I was actually on an interview with Brad Lee, who's been with Grant Cardone and Ed Milet, so a real superstar here in North America. And back in the day, I used to sell cookies, Christmas cookies for my school. So we used to go around the neighborhood. And I live up in Canada, so you can imagine it was like minus 35 at night. Minus 35 degrees Celsius at nighttime, and I'm going out and I'm knocking on people's doors if they want to buy some Christmas cookies or Christmas cake for my school. I broke all the awards because no one else is out there, because I wanted it that bad. But let's face it, I'm sure some of you will laugh when I tell you this, when people used to ask me as a sales representative, what do you do for a living? I say I stand in line to get my face slapped. Why? Because people don't want change. People don't want change. So I had to find a way with speed and velocity, to learn and so forth. And I was blessed to have some amazing mentors. And through this journey, so I did medical sales. I lived in Chicago. I spent a lot of time all over the world, being in the corporate world and sales, doing a lot of training, a lot of coaching, a lot of mentoring. And it was about 2.5 years ago, I decided to do real estate investing full time. But real estate investing requires sales as well. There's always a barter system. There's a system I'm doing with lawyers, accountants, sellers, buyers, and so forth. And so I've been blessed in that since I started my career in sales, officially a career in sales, since I was 21 years old, I've done past $100 million in sales. But I'm not done yet, because sales, like I said, is the art of communication. I'm a firm believer that sales is all about relationships. It's not about the product. It's not about the service. It's how well you serve the individual you're speaking to. Think about that for a second. If you have to convince your spouse to go to a nice restaurant, and that's the restaurant you want to go, you have to lead with value. You can't just put your foot down and saying, we're going to this restaurant and that's it, because guess what? You'll probably end up in an argument. So as we get deeper and deeper and deeper, as we talk about this, I'm going to get deeper about really what I had to do was really eliminate the old school of sales, which was, you had to have like the leads, you had to all that. And what I did is I invested in mindset. See, what allowed me to propel in sales is I focused a lot on my mindset, how to be different. See, when I started in sales, I was in northern Alberta. It was very racist. And I had to find a way to sell. So I had to be different. I had to find a way to get in front of people. And I made a proclamation, Summy, as well, that because of my mindset shift, I made a proclamation that I'm investing $1 million into my mindset. Not into stocks, not into Bitcoin, not into my mindset, because it's the only return on investment we have control over. So if there's an opportunity for sales courses, I take pride in being the dumbest person in the room. Why? It's like Abraham Lincoln used to say, if you have to cut down a tree, he'll spend 3 hours sharpening it and then 1 hour cutting the tree.
Wow, thank you so much, Mark, for opening up our eyes. I love it when you said sales is the act of communications. Now, I'm going to go back to Ori Spado. And Ori Spado said something when he started. He said, look around you, touch it. Anything you can touch, anything you can see, someone sold it. It's a fact. Now, let me tell you what's in my front: a bottle of water, I've got my business card, my handkerchief, I've got 2 books, I've got a laptop, an iPad, I've got 2 phones, a mug. Ori Spado, you're right. Someone sold all these things to me. The question I have for you, Ori Spado, is this. What lesson have you learned from your past as a former gangster, as a former mob lord, that is still relevant today? Especially when it's something that is sales related. Something that you took from there. Yes, you had that the whole past issue, you did your time, but then these lessons that you learned on the streets or wherever it is where you did your own things is still very relevant in our world today and in business. Over to you, Ori Spado.
Well, it's a very good question, Dr. Summy. As everybody knows, I began my career in sales. I trained myself. I had great people that trained me. All right, and I want to go say something. Mark said something, and I want to reiterate on it. Okay, selling is 98% understanding human beings, 2% product knowledge. Going back to your question, Dr. Summy, okay, I was able to apply the same things that I learned as a salesperson as a gangster on the street. Now, what you folks have to realize, as a gangster on the street, all right, we still have to make money. We got to come up with different ways, different scams, whatever you want to call them, how we're going to make money every day. And that's what we do. So, you have to hustle. You got to hustle at whatever you do. Now, absolutely, I am not recommending anybody here to go out and be a gangster or get involved in a life of crime. All right, because I'm definitely against it, and I try to mentor the young people of not getting into a life of crime. But the same principles apply in anything you do. All right, as far as becoming a salesperson. Now, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth because He wants you to do twice as much listening as talking. You're selling something, all right? Listen to the people that you're selling to. You got to listen to everybody because you don't know what might come out of it. I don't know if that answers your question, Dr. Summy.
Sure, definitely you did. Thank you very much, Ori Spado. Now, Mark, I'm privileged to hear you when you spoke about one of the most important roles in sales. Yes, I heard from you, and you spoke about what Ori Spado also said just now, which is about listening. You actually told us to shut the hell up and listen. I want you to share this with African entrepreneurs globally. I need to hear that part. And I also want to know if there are other rules as well that has to do with sales or selling, or if it's just specifically that golden rule that you shared the other day. Please, Mark Smith, over to you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, excellent. And thank you, Ori, for that as well. The thing I want to say to everybody is that the best salesperson as well, like before I said the best salesperson is the one that's convinced himself they're not. When I'm out there in the field, when I'm selling, I don't think I'm selling. Because if you're selling, it's very transactional. It should be all about transformational. So I focus on serving others. I focus on getting to know others. See, on my 5 mindset hacks, and if anybody's interested in it, you can message me on Instagram and I'll be happy to send you a link for the book. So number 1, I said, shut up and listen, as you said something. And I love it because that's what Ori said. And, my mother used to tell me, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Keep your mouth shut. And I see this happening so many times. Now, I'm not saying go to your meeting and don't say a word to your client or the person you're trying to, connect with. What I'm saying is start building a relationship, but take inventory. Take inventory on that relationship. Find the little cue points that is there a connectivity from a relationship standpoint. Because at the end of the day, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. Know, like, and trust. So if you're struggling with your sales, you have to ask yourself the hard question. Do people know you? Do they like you? And do they trust you? So I've been in rooms where I take salespeople in and I'd say, okay, how did the meeting go? And they would tell me in the elevator, oh, it went really well. They want to buy this product. They want to buy this product. I said, what planet are you on? You were doing all the talking. The customer was trying to explain to you, and yet all you wanted to do was speak. And this is a common problem with a lot of salespeople. I call it the silver tongue syndrome. Silver tongue syndrome. They just want to hear themselves speak. They have to be listening. See, if one is a solution provider, and many salespeople say we're solution providers, how can one provide a solution if we don't know what our consumer's problem is? And the only way we can find out what their problem is if we're investing in the relationship. So the second rule, the second mindset hack is, and I love this. I love what Ori said. He said, about how much is product knowledge and so forth. In my book, I say sales is 99.9% passion. See, when I started in sales, one of my mentors actually asked me that. How much of sales do you think is product knowledge? How much do you think is passion? And I said, I don't know, 50-50. But I was incorrect completely because it's the passion. People buy from you because you believe in it. That's what it comes down to. Have you ever got a telemarketer that calls you? How many of them don't actually believe in a product? They're just reading a script. There has to be passion. Number 3, Be indispensable. Overpromise and overdeliver. This is a very competitive marketplace. There's digital sales. There's still face-to-face. It's more competitive than ever before, because sales or product find the customer now through their cell phones and so forth. So you have to be indispensable. What I mean by being indispensable comes down to fostering a relationship. See, there's 3 levels in sales. I see. You have the entry-level salesperson, and then they become the consultant as they mature. But the epitome of sales is being the trusted advisor. The trusted advisor that your consumer is going to call you and tell you, hey, I know you don't sell this product, but who do you recommend? I trust your opinion. I value your opinion. And once you have that relationship with someone, that is the best relationship. How did you get that relationship? It's because you served. Not took, you served. Number 4, know the competition. Know yourself. Know your limitations. Know your strengths, and only focus on your strengths. That's going to be the key thing. Understand what's holding you back. In sales, there has to be a high level of humility. Because you know what, as they say in sales, you're only as good as your last sale. There has to be a level of humility, and we have to be continually taking inventory of what's working, what's not working. And the last thing, guerrilla warfare sales. We're saying, what's guerrilla warfare sales? You have to be unorthodox. You can't be just going with the herd mentality of saying, okay, this is how we're going to do the call, then we're going to add it to the CRM and so forth. See, when I started, and I mentioned before, I was dealing with a lot of racism. So I was having a hard time penetrating the market. So what I did was, a lot of my competitors like General Electrics, Philips, and these companies, they would focus on the major customer, as I call them, the big whale or the top of the tree. And they focused so much attention on it. Why? Because it felt good. It helped with their ego, nice shiny feeling. Oh, look at the customers they have. So what I did was I took an inventory of my territory, and then I started calling around. And what I found was a lot of my competitors had not visited many accounts for years. So I'd get in my car, I would drive literally 8 hours for a 1-hour meeting. And what I did was I created a business around these big whales. And what happened? It actually suffocated my competition. So within 3 years, actually, no, it wasn't 3 years. It was actually 4.5 years. We went from, I think it was an 8% market share to an 85% market share. I didn't do nothing special. I just worked smart. And that's the key thing. And the last thing I'll tell about, this is not in the book, but sales is not a job. It's not a job. It's not like 9 to 5, you shut it down, okay, I'm done for today. Sales is a lifestyle. Now, what I will share in the end here, before I go back to Summy with this, is I actually had a guest on my podcast. So I have a podcast. It's called the 7-2 Mindset Investor Podcast. Just recently, I actually had an amazing guest. His name was Alam Kafour. So here's the premise. Alam, he was buying real estate in Dubai. And when he was in Dubai, he went to a nice restaurant with his friends. And as he was eating, the secret police from Dubai came in a room. They asked him to step outside. See, he was a sales guy. That's what he was doing. He was selling. He was an expert negotiator. As soon as he went outside, they put a hood on his head and they tortured him for 12 days straight. Tortured him. They said he was the mastermind behind the London bombings in 2005, I think it was. So for 12 days straight, they threatened him with death. They beat him up. They threatened to take out his teeth, his fingernails, all that kind of stuff. But you know how he survived? He used his sales skills. He had to foster relationships with some of the guards. He used his negotiation skills to survive. This is why sell. Your life depends on it.
Thank you so much, Mark, for that amazing contribution. I knew there was more to those rules. Marcus shared with us rules, Ori Spado, to share some qualities. You've done it from the street to the corporate life to business, to being a mentor, a coach. And now, what are the qualities that you would say? Probably 1 or 2, even 3 qualities.
Okay, Mark mentioned when he was a young boy and he was selling his cookies and it was 35 below Celsius. That takes a lot of nerve, a lot of guts, a lot of willingness. And those are the things that where Mark says it's a life, okay? It's not an 8 to 5 job. You got to be doing it constantly. It's just something in your head. And the successful salespeople, they don't care how cold it is, how warm it is. The roads are icy. I got to drive 5 hours. Okay? The successful salespeople do that there. I could remember one time where we were working for W. Clement Stone, a combined insurance companies. And if you got to sell 100 policies in one day, you got to call Chicago and they rang the cowbell. It was a big thing. I mean, here I was walking the streets at night looking for lights on. And I remember when I had 99 sales, I needed one more. And there's a light on. And I knocked on the door, and this guy was sitting down watching his TV. He got up and he looked at me. He started laughing. He said, "Are you crazy knocking on my door at this time?" I said, "Yeah, maybe I am." I said, "But you don't understand something." I says, "I'm going to sell you an insurance policy." I said, "Then I'm going to use your phone to call Chicago." He said, "What?" And I didn't even have to tell him what the policy was about because this guy was laughing so hard that we built an immediate relationship. All right. And before you know it, I'm sitting down, all right, with him on the couch, writing up the policy. And then he says something to his wife, says, "Who's out there?" And he tells his wife, he says, "This crazy salesperson." I said, "Well, have your wife come out. I'm going to sell her one too." And I sold 101 policies. I used his phone. And he said, "I don't need no insurance." He happened to be a state assemblyman out of Albany, New York. But, these are the things. It was late at night. So the hour, am I correct, Mark? The hours, the distance, no matter what, you always show up and always are doing it. I want to tell you, when I got one of the biggest accounts, when I had my own agency, the Ori Agency, and the biggest dealer in New York at the time was a Dodge dealer named Sam Dell out of Syracuse, New York. And I had an appointment with him at 8 a.m. in the morning. Syracuse was an hour away from where I lived. But Sam Dell also made an appointment with my competitor, Justin Lippa, out of Rochester, New York. I didn't get there at 8 o'clock. I got there at 7:30. Now, normally I'm always 15 minutes early for an appointment. Always 15 minutes early. I don't buy no excuses, the traffic and this and that. It's all bullshit. Those are excuses of failure. But anyways, I was sitting in this little office between Mr. Dell's office and his controller's office. The control, I still remember his name, Bob Wayne. At 7:45, Bob Wayne's phone rings. And he said, "Well, I'll give Mr. Dell for you." He said, "Mr. Dell, Mr. Lippa is on the telephone." Now I'm sitting there. Sam Dell's door was open. Sam Dell listens to him. And then I hear Mr. Dell goes, "There is only one reason to miss an appointment. That is death. Your own death. I am not rescheduling. Mr. Spado has my account." You see what it is to show up? I got that account from Mr. Dell. Every other dealer wanted to do business with me because he was the biggest Dodge dealer, selling over 4,000 cars a year at that time. And everybody respected him. Never be late. I hope that helps some of you.
Thank you so much, Ori Spado. There's only one reason to missing an appointment, and that is death. That is so strong. That is so deep. So amazing having you guys join us today. I started with Ori Spado, and I'm going to end this session, this particular segment rather, with Mark. And that was a question I was about to put to Ori Spado before, but I'm going to send it to you. What are the qualities that a good salesperson should have? If you can give us about 3 in about 5 minutes, we would really appreciate that. Or if you can even squeeze in some more, that you know that it's a fact that these are very important qualities that a good salesperson, or even everybody, because we are all salespeople, like we all heard Ori Spado shared, and just please share these qualities with us in 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Sure, absolutely. So, of course, the first one in the book that I talk about is listening. Listening is the most powerful skill. Okay. Number 2, empathy. You can't have empathy if you're not listening. And 3 is being able to recognize that the ability to create that relationship. And the only way you can create that relationship is by listening and having a level of empathy. And 4, because I know many people, because I'm going to go a little bit more than 3, because I know people that have all those 3 of those, but they can't ask for an order. They're not suited for sales. So 4 is not being afraid of rejection. That's the thing. Many people, that's why they shy away from sales, is they're fearful of rejection. So that's going to be the key thing is, like I said, you got to have listening skills, empathetic skills, the ability to foster relationships. And the 4th thing is you have to have some thick skin. It's a tough world out there. And you know what? That's who gets paid. It's the ones that are going to push the hardest. So, I know I'm not looking for anything exquisite, but that's really what it comes down to. This is the real hard facts. So thank you. Hopefully that we found that helpful.
Thanks for keeping on time. Then we've got 2 minutes there. I'm going to take 2 minutes to go down to Ori Spado. And Ori Spado, do you have anything you want to add or anything you want to give us as a concluding statement?
Well, I was going to tell you something. All right, you got 2 on 1 having Mark and I here, because you see how both our minds work alike, and we're both extremely successful salespeople. We say things, we're saying the same thing, but we say it in different ways. Mark just said something, rejection. You're going to get rejections. But I have a saying, the more no's I get, the closer I am to a yes. So yes, you need to have thick skin. All right? Somebody says no, I say thank you. Boom, I knock on the next door. And you just keep going until you get the yeses. At the end of the day, it's the yeses that count. And I guarantee you, it's the yeses that put the money in your pocket.
I was going to add one more thing to that, and it's so critical. And Ori, I know you're gonna agree with me on this. Follow up. Sales is not made on that first interaction. It's made in the follow up. 70% of sales, I think it's actually 80% of sales, happens in the follow up. So just because someone says no to you doesn't mean you have to stop. It comes down to the follow up. And I've seen so many salespeople struggle, and it's like they're interested, you have a relationship with them. You don't have to pick up the phone and say, are you going to buy my product now? But a simple check-in. Hey, Mr. Bob, how are you doing today? Just wanted to check in on you. How are things going, and so forth. Because remember, it's not who you know, but who knows you. And we got to continue showing up. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Well, Mark is absolutely correct there. Okay, but I'm going to tell you another thing. I walk and I knock on Mark's door. I'm going to become friends with him in the first 90 seconds. Okay? And then I'm going to find out what his needs are. I'm going to sell them. I'm going to close them. And after I close them, the papers are signed and everything. What's the next thing I'm going to ask Paul for? I'm going to ask him for 5 referrals. It might be his brothers, his sisters, his neighbors, whoever it is. Referrals. You always have to get referrals. Because now if I get referrals from Mark, and Mark says, Ori, see Paul, I go to Paul. Hey, Paul, I was just with Mark. And you see how it goes? You got to keep it going. Everything's got to calculate. You got to be able to calculate everything in your head as you're going. Okay, that's how you stay in the sales business. Referral. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. My utmost respect and love goes out to you guys. African entrepreneurs, when they were concluding, they were speaking about things that you must have, that makes you a better salesman, a better salesperson. I'm going to share with you quickly as we round up this segment things that you must stop. Yes, things you must stop. 6 things you need to stop to be better in sales. And remember now, when I'm talking about sales, I'm talking about every aspect of your life. Being a good husband, being a good wife, be a good boss, be a good employee and a good employer, good businessman. Wherever you are, you're a salesman, like I said when we started this segment. One of the first things you need to stop is stop the excitement. Yes, I repeat, stop the excitement when you talk. When you talk about that business, those things are old school. Those were the old strategies. It doesn't work anymore. Hey, my name is Summy Francis. I've got this bottle. I want to tell you about this bottle. It's nice, it's fat, it's clear. Stop that. It doesn't work anymore. They used it in the 60s. Ori Spado will tell us about those kind of things. It worked in the 40s. It's not working anymore in the 2021 age. Because when you come in that version, in that tone, we know already you want to sell. You want to get something out of my pocket, and I'm not interested in that. The best way to penetrate is rather be genuine, be truthful, be honest with your approach. And that's why I love Mark's strategy when he says, I want to tell the truth. And when it comes to me like that, I want to listen, because everybody wants the truth, even if it's been lied to you. Now, it's very important that you do that, you become genuine when you need to sell, even when you need to convince your kid to go to bed at night. No, there's no point telling them, hey, if you sleep early, it's going to do this, or your fairy godmother is going to come with stuff like that. It doesn't work anymore. Sit that 3-year-old down, sit down that 4-year-old daughter of yours and talk to her. If you sleep early, it's good for your health, it's good for your brain. You're going to remember your homework nicely, you're going to remember your teachers nicely, you're going to be able to play nicely at school. Be genuine, and you'll be surprised. As young as they are, they will appreciate your sincerity and the excitement in your voice. Secondly, number 2 thing you need to stop the pitch. Yes, stop the pitch. Don't come into rooms and start telling people, yes, my business is this, my business is that. Forget about that. As I said, it doesn't work anymore. Rather focus on the problem, the challenges, and relate to this, to what product that you're selling to the audience. The moment there's a relationship, then you can then offer the solution. Very important. Don't go around pitching. Talk about what challenges are there, what challenges that person you're talking to is facing. Then you can then profile a solution. And don't profile the solution unless you find that there's a connect. Once you see there's a connect and this person is beginning to reason with you, that's when you profile that solution. African entrepreneurs and other entrepreneurs joining us from all over the world. Number 3 point, stop forcing. Yes, stop forcing. When you force people to buy things that will resist you, it's a human thing, it's in our minds, it's a psychology thing. When you come to me trying to force it down my throat, then the thing my body will do is automatically reject it. And of course, resist what you're trying to tell me. So when you want to talk to people, remember not to force things down their throats. It's important, like they said to us, our speakers, you can leave them, come back next time with a different approach. And if your approach was right in the first place, there will be no reason to force it down their throat. Number 4 thing you need to stop avoiding no. Mark has spoken about it, and Ori Spado has spoken about it, so there's really no point for me to drive more about it. But one thing I want to share about this no is this. No helps a lot. It really helps. Have you found out the advantages of no? I'll share 2 with you. When a person says no to you about something, he's giving you one fault in that product, in that innovation, in that invention, that you might not have seen yourself. You say to this person, I want to sell you this pen. This pen is good, this pen is this pen is nice. And the next thing he says, I don't like this pen, the color is too dark. You never thought about that when you invested in that pen, that the color was too dark. That was a good advice that was given to you on a platform of no. I appreciate it and go with your no's. Another thing you need to appreciate is in the no is the fact that a person that says no might be the wrong partner for your business, might be the wrong audience for your business, a person that came with that negative spirit. Why do you want to force it down their throat and then have them on your business? If they are in your business with that no attitude, because you force them down, I bet you if anything goes wrong, you're going to be in a deep mess. Imagine if you got a happy person that says yes, that understands your vision from the very beginning. Imagine how you can travel that journey together, how you can make it happen together, because he understands the vision from the very beginning. Now, those people are not easy to find. I'm not saying they're easy to find, but it's better to work with those people than to have to force somebody to change their no to a yes. Now, the 5th thing you need to stop, guys, African entrepreneurs across the world, stop putting money first. Yes, I repeat, stop the money first. Even if they insist, even if they ask, how much is the product? Concentrate on the value. Start about the importance of the solution, that idea, that innovation, that product is solving before you ever talk about the money. The first thing you must present is the value. From that value, then and only then, you can even bring conversations like, would you be willing to pay for it? How much would you be willing to pay for something like this? Because it is very clear about what value your product, your invention, or your innovation is bringing forward. Lastly, African entrepreneurs, stop stopping. Yes, stop stopping. Don't you ever stop selling, guys. It's the way of life. Every one of us you find in this room, every businessman, everybody that exists in this world sold something. And we are still selling something till we leave this world. So never you, for any reason, stop selling. This is the only means of revenue in your business. Never get tired of it. And I just want to appreciate every one of you for joining today. Appreciate our speakers. And I hope that you're going to go out there, African entrepreneurs, and from everything that you've relearned, because I know you've heard these things before, but you've relearned maybe in a different version, you can then go back and begin to implement these things, and never you stop selling.